Hello, world.
And it's NFL time, or NFL breakdown. Here we go. Locked in NFL football. Dave.
We need a cool creative name for this, guys. NFL hierarchy fun times with Dave.
Don't do it.
God dang it, we need something.
We'll come up with it. It'll be a journey that everybody can join us in through the podcast.
How about just get locked in? NFL, getting locked in.
I mean, it's too easy.
Yeah, I want
too
something
easy.
super creative with
now
four
for locked
syllables.
in.
Nope, didn't like it. How about
locked on the field?
Don't listen to John Radford locked in football
Ooh.
minutes.
Never again, John. He may be good at punching people in the face, but fantasy?
Can I start off with a rant? Can we go to that?
Yeah, you rant, then I'm going to rant on your rant.
And I'm
going to
rave.
rant on your rant.
All right, floor is yours, guys. Let's talk about football.
Okay. So everybody's saying how spectacular Aaron Rodgers' performance was. And it was. Like, by all means, I watched the game.
It was amazing.
Yeah, he came back. They're down 20. Of course, not only wins the game, but he's limping the entire time. Couldn't throw the same. And he showed why he's the most talented quarterback, arguably, of all time.
The greatest talent I've ever seen at the quarterback position. Wow.
Then people say, well, he's not better than Brady because Brady has how many championships? He has 5 championships, right?
Yep. 8 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah, so it gets me. There's a comparison that's made, which I'll get into, but very quickly, before I start that rant, there's a difference between GOAT conversations. Like, everybody has their own definition of the GOAT. And people are like, well, Aaron Rodgers is really the GOAT. He's the best to ever play it, so he's the GOAT. But then people say, no, Tom Brady has 5 championships. He's the GOAT. He's the most accomplished. And people have made this comparison where Aaron Rodgers is like LeBron because he's talented, but Jordan is Tom Brady because he's accomplished. He has the 6 rings. Brady has the 5 rings. And although I agree with the definition or the premise of the different definitions of the GOAT, there's only one definition of the GOAT, and I'm tired of people comparing Aaron Rodgers to LeBron James and Jordan to Tom Brady because it's actually the exact opposite.
No, it's the perfect comparison.
No, it's not because Aaron Rodgers, what is Tom Brady's brand right now is his longevity, and it says, how can he play another year at 41? Or can he go to 42, maybe to 45? And like we've just never seen anyone this dedicated to the game and to have like just kale pajamas and just have his house at a higher altitude so he can have better conditioning. Just absurd things that he does to make sure he can play a longer career. And that's what LeBron does. Like that's exactly what LeBron does. And I know I'm a LeBron guy, but like all seriousness, he's all about longevity. We've never seen somebody in year 16 be in their prime. We've never seen Tom Brady, anyone in age 40, 41, play at this exceptional level. And secondly, Aaron Rodgers has 1 championship. 1 championship. So it's not like LeBron just won 1 and he's a great talent. He has 3. So it's not. There's a big difference between 1 and 3. Like those other 2 championships count as far as accomplishments. So there are difference in accomplishments, and they're way different longevity because the way Aaron Rodgers plays will not allow him to have the longevity of that of Tom Brady. He plays where he doesn't audible. Yeah, he gets injured more often because he thinks he can make that play, which he can, but it results in him getting more injured. So when you have this conversation on who's the GOAT, I'm okay with it. Is he the most talented ever? Yes. Is he the GOAT? No, Tom Brady's the GOAT. So if you want to say Michael Jordan's the GOAT, okay, but stop comparing Aaron Rodgers to LeBron because they are completely different on how they approach the game, and their accomplishments are different.
That's just... You're pulling one thing in the longevity. And with that one...
It's a longevity. It's a long thing.
The one part of the game, longevity. And that makes sense. LeBron and Brady. Yeah. But Brady, he's so the Jordan of NFL. Bill Belichick to Phil Jackson. Chicago had like a system with like a lot of revolving players from like, they kind of had 2 different dynasties with 2 different teams. With Brady's the same way. It's a system. And just... Jordan was an average height, average weight player. Of course, he's uber talented, but he wasn't the most talented player in the world. He wasn't the most talented player in that time.
I don't have a problem with the Jordan-Brady comparison as much as I do the Rodgers-LeBron.
Rodgers and LeBron are the 2 most talented players to probably ever play their sport. And you said the 1 to 3. Well, Rodgers isn't done yet. Rodgers is younger than LeBron.
But they're making that comparison now, so it is 1 to 3.
Well, it's 1 to 3 now, but they're the most talented. LeBron's the most talented player, And I'm a LeBron guy too. I've been a LeBron guy since
I'm not
the
sure
90s.
anymore because some days LeBron's the greatest, and the other day it's Michael
I
Jordan.
just tell the truth. LeBron has
He's overachieved with what he's had, so you can't say underachieved.
No, he's underachieved in finals and
Oh my God.
big time moments. The Dallas thing is horrible, bro. Right? He's 3-6 in the finals. It's not great. It's not.
If you look at what he's taken there, it's overachieving because he shouldn't have been there. So is it underachieving because you were short of playing the greatest team of all time that we've never seen 4 All-Stars, or is it overachieving because you took that team there?
Aaron Rodgers has overachieved to get the Packers into NFC Championship games. And
How
to
many
Super
Super Bowls
one.
has he been in?
One.
LeBron's been in 8 finals. 8 and 1's a huge difference in how many times he's overachieved.
But don't you agree that LeBron is more talented than Jordan?
Yeah.
Don't you agree that
Like, there's
Aaron
certain
Rodgers is
points
more talented than Brady?
You could make that argument.
Brady and Jordan's they're hardworking, coaching.
I agree.
They work harder than the next guy, the first guy in, last guy out. I think that's and they're the greatest champion in their individual sport.
I will interject something. If you're going to talk about hard work, Brady and LeBron are more similar because Jordan would gamble and smoke cigars, and he didn't take
Hard work on the field,
I'm going to say because if you take care of your body and like your regimen or your routine out of the field, it's more like LeBron.
No, I agree with that. I just think the most talented football player I've seen in my lifetime is Aaron Rodgers.
But you told me I'm focusing on one thing, longevity.
Mm-hmm.
You're focusing on one thing in talent.
No,
I think there's more
talent,
differences.
Coaching.
But I think there's more differences between LeBron and Rodgers than there are similarities because you've just said talent.
Yeah. No, I just
But
think
if you look at longevity, if you look at what they've done, if you look at their accomplishments, LeBron is different than Aaron Rodgers in all those categories.
well, yeah, they're different. They're not exact. Like Brady's got 5 titles, Jordan's got 6. They're not exact, but like you think of who's the best champion in the NBA the last 30 years. Oh, Jordan. Who's the best champion, best quarterback the last 30 years of football? A lot of people say Brady. It's just kind of like it's a close comparison. It's not exact.
Rodgers and Brady, I said I agree with more than I do Rodgers, LeBron.
Right, I think it's just at this point just kind of pulling at hairs because I think it's just more of it's a natural thing because you can't compare Brady or LeBron to both Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
You got to pick one.
Or Jordan to both, and it's just kind of like that. You're picking one. Yeah, the Brady and MJ match up better than what like a LeBron Aaron Rodgers would. But you also got to think it's the football. With a quarterback, they're on the field only half the time. So where LeBron and MJ, they play defense. So they have Aaron Rodgers and Brady don't play defense. But also sometimes coming back from that stuff and coming back from the injuries or coming back and playing hard, that's something that they do that can be comparative. Just as a different thing. I see exactly where you're coming from.
People say, okay, Rodgers 1 for 1, Jordan was 6 for 6, so they're 100%. Brady went to more finals, LeBron went to more finals, not 100%. And then if you want to talk about from injury, Michael Jordan had his flu game. Aaron Rodgers had that game where he was injured and still played. Like it's so like it's hypocritical.
Honestly,
in a
I
way.
think it's all stupid because you can't compare. It's hard to compare basketball and football anyway.
Yes, and I agree.
So
with
I think overall, I'm not. I think if you look at it in a I think outside the box type of thing, I think you're looking too far into it is what my point was. I said I think it's a dumb comparison overall, but I think you're diving too far into it to compare Aaron Rodgers to LeBron because personally, I think because you have LeBron way up here and for good reason. I'm not discounting you for that, but Aaron Rodgers isn't that guy for you, but to other people he is that guy. And that's I think where the comparison is, where they match up better to each other like how the other two match up.
And one last thing I would say, because that's good points. We've never seen Aaron Rodgers in 8 different Super Bowls where he's the guy in that moment every time. Like you just say, he's kind of down here because he hasn't been in the Super Bowl in a while, and he's only been to 1. Tom Brady's constantly in the Super Bowl. Like LeBron's constantly in the Super Bowl. So, like you said, it's
and Rodgers has been
hurt.
Rodgers has been hurt, and it's again your team has it makes a big difference with it too.
And LeBron doesn't get hurt. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like I
hate the comparisons overall.
Yeah, I'd rather there be no comparisons than that comparison. Then.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. Yeah,
but other than that little rant,
but Randall Cobb made that.
Yeah,
I mean that was Randall Cobb. That Randall Cobb and Cortisone Shout out to Glenn Lutie. Was probably the partial MVP to that game.
Right.
But you could definitely see during his post game interview how he was cocky, but he was also, you could also kind of tell that he was not all there. I don't think.
Right. No, yeah, and it was a spectacular performance.
Oh,
I'm
definitely.
I by all means don't dislike Aaron Rodgers. It's just comparisons were getting out of hand.
It was a spectacular week one. I'm ready to jump so much into it, but there's just one thing off script last second I was like, oh, I got to get this out. Because we have the LeBron debate, we have the Chris Paul debate, and the last debate I think, Max, you and I have the most is Matt Stafford. And I've been iron concrete locked into this that Detroit overspent for him too early on that deal. And I was like, okay, we kind of let it go because football season ended. And, it's great. Our debates keep going. And after watching Monday Night Football, and we will definitely get into Sam Darnold, our guy would lock our stock in. Unbelievable. Rookie of the year. Can almost lock that in right now, right? Matt Stafford looked horrible. He looked horrendous. He was so bad, and they gave him so much money they can't get help to help him out. The team is not great around him. The contract was bad when it happened, and I screamed it, and now I feel so vindicated today after seeing week one.
I don't. I feel okay because I will always pay a quarterback that's a franchise quarterback that money. You have a bad game, sure. That's the most important position. I'm going to pay for it because if you look at the contracts now, they're even more obscene. So the Lions are not a free agent destination for one.
You have to pay top-end quarterback money, not just any franchise. The Dallas Cowboys cannot pay Dak Prescott $25 million. They can't.
Matt Stafford's better than Dak Prescott.
Well, they're pretty close.
He's better than Dak Prescott.
They're pretty close.
And he's done more with less than Dak Prescott.
Dallas won the most wins in the NFC in the last 2 years.
But look who they have around him. But my whole thing is Stafford, the Lions can't guarantee to get a franchise quarterback. So, yeah, they lost ugly to the Jets. What would happen if they didn't have a franchise quarterback against the Jets? Well, it wouldn't be debating who would have won that game. It wouldn't have been a surprise.
But they would have had money and draft picks. They pick a young rookie. I always think it's always bad in any sport, basketball, baseball, football, to give a player to overpay a B- player. If it's A+, Mac, I would have gave him the max contract. He's an A+ defender. He's the third best defender in the world, whatever you want to say. A+ players, I do not care. Overpay for him. Top end quarterbacks overpay. Matt Stafford is not a top 10 quarterback. You say he's not, Dak is close. Stafford, Dak, Dalton, they're all Kirk Cousins. They're all 14 through 19, all in that range. Am I off? Alex Smith, they're all in that middle range. They're not great. They're not bad, but they're franchise quarterbacks. They play good. I'm a Buffalo fan. I wish they were one of them in Buffalo. I'm not saying that, but to give him that money and to give it to him early just
but
you also sense to me.
You're leaving out Matt Patricia. It's his first year coaching there.
Oh, he's shitty.
And we all know how they are.
He's the shits.
How coaches are when they leave Belichick.
He's the shits.
So, that has something to do with it. It's not just all on Matt Stafford. It could be a lot of coaching. You say coaching matters as much as anybody.
In all sports, football coaching matters the most.
Look at Sean McVay and Jared Goff. So
totally agree.
That's what I'm saying. It's easy to say, hey, this is why we lost, but there's so many other things to keep in account as well.
Hey, I feel vindicated. Can I say that at least?
There you go.
You want to talk about your guy, Sam Darnold?
I think Sean has something. Oh, my bad. Yeah. So Sam Darnold is both. So
he looked awesome.
Yeah, we did a Lock Your Stock episode. That was our common denominator, right? He was the only one that we had in common.
True.
And, man, not only did he threw a pick six, and, of course, everybody's like, oh, well, Teddy Bridgewater would have made that throw. And who else threw a pick six?
Brett Favre.
James Winston.
Oh, yeah, he did.
He did against Tennessee.
Yeah. And what was so cool
Didn't Roethlisberger as well?
I think so.
Is this a thing?
But what my point is,
it's first week pick sixes.
It couldn't have
first
been
play for Winston.
It couldn't have been any better for him though, because it showed that he can overcome it and still have a great game. So not only the youngest quarterback to ever start since 1970, you threw a pick six, overcame it, and destroyed a Lions team, which most people probably didn't have them winning. So like you just said, it was at first a debate before we even locked our stock whether or not he was going to start. So not only did they trade Teddy Bridgewater, now you have Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback, and he looks great in his first game in a dome.
Awesome.
On the road. It was just a great performance.
Great
That feels vindicated right there.
Yeah. Talking about a great performance, we'll get back into quarterbacks, into teams, but all four of us, here's my question for all three of you guys. What team had the best week 1 performance? Sean, let's start with you.
Bum, bum,
I
bum.
might be a little biased,
Uh-oh.
partially because I was blown away by the performance.
Fitzpatrick.
But I honestly because I was blown away by it. I was
me too,
expecting
man.
Winston's out for 3 games, right?
Four. I think it's 4.
Pretty
Is it
sure it's 3. Yeah. So he's out for those games, and
Did you just question a Buccaneer fan on how many games his quarterback is out for?
I got a question about the quarterback, too, but
okay,
keep going, keep
yeah,
going.
we'll get in there. So I honestly was expecting a 0-3 or 1-2 start with our season, thinking that maybe we could pull something off against a Pittsburgh or a Philly.
Right.
The Saints, we always play them tough. It's always tough, and you never know what's going to happen. I think it goes back to coaching. We talked about coaching. You know what the big difference was from this year, besides obviously Fitz being in there, but do you know what one of the big differences?
No.
Dirk Cutter was the play caller last year. He's not this year. Our offensive coordinator is the play caller this year. So they actually utilized, there were some good plays, some great plays. They actually utilized Deshaun Jackson where they didn't really do
Killed
too
it
much.
in fantasy.
Some of it also has to do with, I was talking to our buddy Ant, some of it also can have to do with Winston did overthrow Deshaun a few times last year.
Right.
He did.
Fitz hit him pretty good. My
Fitz
fear
looked
with
awesome.
Fitz
Mhm.
is he is a ride that wave kind of quarterback. He can't put together an entire season. He's a 3 to 4 game thing, which is all we
Perfect
need.
backup, maybe borderline
Right.
starter.
But here's, question. If they beat the Saints, if they beat the Steelers, and if they beat Philly, who everyone had
Philly's
him at,
before Pittsburgh, but
everyone almost had him 0-3 or 1-2, right?
Oh, I did.
Almost, yeah, right. If they go 3-0, do you keep riding this wave until he falters and be like, okay, guys, we have Jameis? But if he's 3-0, 4-0, 5-1, kind of what the Vikings did with Case Keenum last year over Teddy Bridgewater in a way, do you ride this Fitzpatrick wave?
no.
Okay, JT, what was the most impressive team of the week for
No,
you?
I think that, again, a 3-0 start, it might be a different discussion, but I still feel like even Fitz has said, he goes, I'm just a placeholder. This is Winston's team.
Okay.
I think it's because of his role in the locker room, and I think that has a lot to do with it. He is the leader in the locker room. He made a mistake. It was dumb. Whatever it is, I'm not gonna back him up on that. It's dumb. He should be smarter with what he decides to do and who he associates with and how he I can't think of how he presents handles himself. Exactly. But I think that it does put pressure on him throughout the rest of the year, that if he does not perform to a good enough standard, that the team knows, hey, you know what? Take a seat.
Okay.
How about I say, Sean, so obviously you're a Buccaneers fan. You've said sometimes you're a little biased, and completely understand. I'm Lakers, LeBron, Giants here. But you remember like in high school, like there'd always be a player who got suspended because the coach suspended him, not necessarily because he did something wrong. It could just be grades. Hey, I know you could do better, so you need to sit out and learn your lesson. Okay, so we all know Winston's obviously the better talent. Like, that's not a question. But Fitzpatrick is, like you just said, borderline starter, great backup.
He's a great backup.
Yeah,
He's-
borderline starter because he always seems to rise up in these moments. Is it bad that even though Winston comes back from his suspension, you say, look, you're still sitting out one more game? Like the coach takes it in his own hands to make sure he's
That's
on.
a good point.
Yeah,
That's a
he's
real
on-
good point.
He's on his own attitude. Like, let's see how you handled this. When I bench you because of me, not because of the NFL. And if he handles it, I was wrong. I accept it. Then you know he's kind of matured and learned his lesson. But he was like, no, man, I deserve to start. Did he really learn his lesson?
Especially if he's 2-1 or 3-0, right?
yeah.
That's a great point, Max.
That's what
I
I'm
like
saying.
it.
They're playing the Bears week 4. So
Lesson is, I think that lesson can pay off for him.
I
Like
see-
it could be
I-
a big lesson
I like
for
a
him.
long
understand
term.
your
It's like
point.
a kid. Like you,
I
once in a while-
fully understand
Yeah.
your point.
Right.
I don't think that's what they're going to do.
Neither do
But
I.
I understand. I can fully accept that as a solution, as
Right.
as a coach, as a role to do. I would stand by that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep the train going. Most impressive team week 1, JT.
Burr, burr, burr.
Well, I only watched a few games because of my fantasy league, and Jaguars did not look good this week. They barely won that. I think the only reason they won that is because of Saquon. Wrong team. God dang it. No. Saquon's. No, Saquon looked good against the
JT
Jags.
Buddy's 6 beers in right now. So wait, you think the Jags were impressive or
No,
not impressive?
Not
So
impressive.
he asked you who was impressive.
Oh,
Not
impressive?
who was not impressive.
I
but
actually
who
thought
wasn't on that
Carolina
team.
looked great against Dallas.
There you go.
Yeah,
I heard that.
They look pretty
I-
good.
That
Hey.
was a horrible game.
They ran all over Dallas, and Cam Newton was just toting it up on them.
Okay. Cuzzo Max, who do you got? Most impressive team week 1.
Player or team?
Team. We got more players to go, but team.
I will go around again. Most impressive player.
Yeah, or something like that.
Okay, cool.
We'll just shout out names of guys.
As far as team, the Rams stood out to me as like,
Yeah,
so they're
good one.
playing John Gruden, the Raiders. Okay, if you don't know, there's a whole bunch of question marks around John Gruden and the Raiders, and the Rams have so much talent. Jared Goff, Sean McVay, and they destroyed them. Like I stayed up for like the locked in minute. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this game. You never know the comeback. After Aaron Rodgers came back 20 points, I'm like, you never know. I don't want to be
Screwed
that.
me on fantasy.
Right. So I'm watching it. I'm like, God, like these Rams are just overwhelming them. And every category, every position, they're just overwhelmed the Raiders. And I think this team impressed me the most in week 1.
Okay, so Max, you got Rams. Great win. They beat the Raiders. Carolina Panthers, great win. They beat Dallas. Sean, Tampa, the great win. They beat the Saints. Here, that was my number 2.
That was a tough one.
That was my. I almost
your
went there.
Super Bowl pick got blown out.
And that's exactly the team who impressed me the most. The Kansas City Chiefs destroyed the Los Angeles Chargers. And why I'm so impressed with them,
Don't do it. Don't do the player.
I'm just going to say with Pat Mahomes blew me away. And then with Tampa, I thought about it a little bit. The Chiefs last year were a playoff team, and they switched to Alex Smith to Pat Mahomes, who has a higher ceiling. So I was like, okay, guys, this is going to really work for him or not, and I wasn't sure. Tampa, they weren't a playoff team. They always do play the Saints tough. And the Saints, one thing, they were 0-1. They haven't won a week 1 game like in 4 years. I figured that out. So I was like, it's a great win, and they're number 2, so it's no slight to them. But when I just added all those things together, I think the Kansas City Chiefs was my most impressive team. I was like, the AFC's wide open. The Patriots won again. That's what the Patriots do. So I think the Chiefs, and then let's talk about them. Let's go with Pat Mahomes. He was incredible. So
Okay, I was about to say, so Patrick Mahomes was my standout player for going around here. Patrick Mahomes is like, okay, so he benched for a year to learn from Alex Smith, right?
Yep.
That was probably the smartest thing he could have done.
Andy Reid, he
Right,
does that
so
a lot.
Matured, learned the NFL game. We all know that that route.
Sure.
He could be like that guy. Like when you say Sam Darnold and like lock your stock, if we could add another slot, it may be Patrick Mahomes,
Okay.
right? Like, was he not that impressive?
He was. He has all the tools. He's like 6'5", 6'6".
And with an arm,
He throws the ball like if I had to throw it 40 yards, it would be all my might, and it would just be like, it would take me forever to get it. He just
floats
like,
it.
boom,
Yeah,
just
just
flicks
boop.
it, just comes out of his hand. It's like, wait, 47 yards on a dime. And he's got good movement. And then Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, Sammy Watkins, they are beyond stacked. He's got weapons to throw to, so I'm impressed.
but can I just add one last thing about Sam Darnold?
Sure.
So, okay, as a Giants fan, okay, not only did we lose to the Jaguars, which blowed, obviously, and now we face the Cowboys coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they look terrible.
Yeah, and I want to ask you guys who you think is going to win that after this, but
Okay.
I feel so bad that we passed up on Sam Darnold.
I
Like,
know.
it just pisses me off because it's like I love Sam Darnold as a talent and as a player, but as a Giant, we got Saquon Barkley, who's going to be good. He'll
Yeah.
have a
He
good
did
NFL
great
career.
in that game.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he won't result in wins like Sam Darnold will for the Jets.
Totally
you don't just
agree.
get a franchise quarterback like that. And Eli looked old. Okay, he has good numbers when he throws to Odell, but I'm pretty sure any of us in here would.
Thank you, 22 points.
Yeah, but other than that, like his mobility isn't like Darnold's. He's not obviously as young as Darnold. He could be your future with Odell. Imagine that was my disappointment.
Like, even Antonio Brown's an 8-year veteran. Odell is younger than him. You would have had Darnold and Odell for the next 8 years, the best quarterback, wide receiver connection. It'd been like a little Joe Montana, Jerry Rice kind of connection. And then, like, the running back, your point was awesome. It just doesn't give you wins.
Right.
And Barkley's going to be really, really good. But who cares? Like, who cares? Allen Iverson was really good, but he never won a championship.
Exactly.
Like, who cares? Like,
People
his
love
stats
flashy.
are awesome. Give me a guy who's going to win championships in Sam
A running back's going to give you 3 to 4 years.
peak years.
Right.
Probably.
And a quarterback can give you, especially a young one like Darnold, could give
15.
you 10 to 15
Yeah,
years.
I totally agree. That's a
They
great
were
point
just,
too.
I feel like they were pressured. They were scared of the back. Remember when they just benched Eli?
Yeah.
Like what happened? Like just all out chaos. And that's why, and it's just, it irritates me because you shouldn't be worried.
You shouldn't run your business in fear.
Exactly, and that's where I think they messed up. They went with the safe pick. Like we all agree, he will be good, but you could have done better.
Totally agree.
And fear prohibited that.
Wow, I love this thing. Hey, you brought up the Panthers real quick beating the Cowboys, and then you just said, hey, the Cowboys and the Giants,
yeah.
which they're both 0-1. I know this sounds crazy. This might be a little hyperbolic. Whoever loses that game is like out for the season. They miss the playoffs. Whoever, the Giants or the Cowboys, whatever team goes 0-2 is done.
Yeah, it's not a must win, but it is.
It's a must win.
Must win week 2.
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
That being said,
That's a
who
lot
was
of
your guys'
pressure.
worst game of the week?
Worst team or game?
Team.
Oh,
Steelers.
the Bills were the worst team.
No, everyone went into the season with the quarterback thinking the Bills were going to be bad.
Like that was
Baltimore
bad,
was
Dave.
really good. No, that's fine. But the Steelers tied the Browns. Like
Yeah.
the Steelers are supposed to be championship contender. The Bills aren't even a playoff contender.
Don't
So
talk
to
about my
me,
Steelers
they
like
lost
that,
week
bro.
1. They're supposed to lose. The Steelers tied the Browns.
That was one
Can
of
I
the
say
Almost
that again?
lost. I mean, they almost
They
lost.
should have
They
lost.
should have lost.
Yeah. They got outplayed by the Browns.
And this is all not to do with talent. It
Sure.
has nothing to do with talent.
Oh.
It's just not being buttoned up at all. Like it irritates me that you have such a talented team where you have a great running back, well, who's not playing at the moment.
I was going to say, do you think
Eh.
that had anything to do with it in the locker room? I
Yes.
mean, Connor did great.
Yeah,
Yes,
not
I do.
Yeah, in the locker room, not on the field necessarily. Like
Correct.
they're a great team even without him, but
Mm-hmm.
they just don't have anything. There's no structure. Like there's no type of discipline. There's just nothing. And if they had any of New England's like discipline and like focus, they would have obliterated the Browns.
I mean, you can apply that to any team. If any team had the discipline that the Pats
Of course,
do,
but
it would be
with this
But the
talent.
Steelers
they
just
didn't
have
leave-
true.
top end
Oh,
talent.
yeah.
They have.
Yeah.
That's why people pick them to be in the Super Bowl. That's why I think they're the
I
most
have 'em in the
disappointing.
Super Bowl.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then
I
they
hope so.
tied
Go
the
Steelers.
Browns. Like I thought that was horrible. Anyone else, guys? What was your worst performance of the week?
I told you the Bills. I mean, even though we know the
Okay.
Bills aren't going to, like, I mean, they made the playoffs last year.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like to get demolished like that. I mean, Baltimore's a good team, though.
They are.
I mean, they are a good team.
They're
and they were on the
consistently
road,
good
and
team.
it was a young quarterback. Like I get what you're saying, but I went into that game where like, hey, we're gonna lose this week. We're gonna get our butts kicked.
like 44-3.
So you say that every
That's what
week?
it was.
Oh, not every week. We're coming back. Josh Allen will start soon. They'll turn the tides. But I think the Steelers were mine.
Talk about starting. So do you think Baker starts for the Browns soon?
No, I think that was pretty good performance by Taylor, to be honest.
So you
they
don't think-
tied. They lost 18 straight games or something like that, 22
Yes,
straight games.
This is the best start they've had in a
Yeah,
while.
the best start. They tied. Like that's
Best start since 2004, 0-0-1. That is the legit stat.
And I just feel
Wait. Say that again.
This is their best start since 2004, 0-0-1.
Wow.
yeah,
Well,
that's just terrible. And do they feel pressure? Like, okay, number 1 overall pick. Like, we're not talking about just the first rounder. We're talking about the number 1 overall pick. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying, do you think we saw how much pressure influenced the Giants to make a draft pick? You don't think this is going to feel any type of pressure from an organization that is known for being chaotic and unstable to not play their number 1 overall pick? Like, you don't think that will have any influence with the owner?
Who do they have the next few games?
Who do they
Who?
play next game?
Cleveland Browns.
Hold on, let me look.
My phone's charging.
I think
I
it's a
can't
tough schedule. I really do. I think they play like the Chargers in one of them.
And I think they're going to ride Taylor out for at least the first month. For one, he played decent. He really did. He had
Yeah.
a good throw to Josh Gordon for the touchdown.
It's a win
He
for the
ran,
Browns.
And yeah, I think they write him out. And then if they are 4-1,
Saints are next for
Oh.
the Browns, then the Jets.
Those are 2 losses.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So now
then
you
the
got
Raiders.
now you have the owner that's
So
hearing
maybe
the
that-
fans.
So that LA Raider game will probably
could be a
Vegas.
not yet.
No, next year.
Oakland,
It's-
yeah.
I have no idea what's
I
going
know.
on.
I always
in the
say San
Southwest.
Diego Chargers.
San
It's like
Diego, Los Angeles.
Chargers,
They're not in
Rams,
San Diego
and
anymore?
Raiders. Like I don't know where they're at.
I don't know.
It's crazy. And I always thought this, and this is I don't even know if I want to bring this idea up. They should do realignment. It drives me crazy that the Bills and the Dolphins are in the same division.
It
Buffalo,
always
Miami,
has. I've gone to
and Buffalo and the Giants are not, and they're down the street from each other. It should be like the Bills, Patriots, Giants, and Jets.
Should
Right,
be
I
like
think it's-
basketball.
Huh?
Like basketball?
Yeah.
Like northeast and then like
Yeah.
So it
I
makes-
see your point. I like that, but
Yeah.
you also because of how it's been for so many years, you have these built-in rivalries. Like my dad and my grandmother grew up big Dolphin fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
and
dad
they
too.
hate the Buffalo Bills. That
Yeah.
rivalry
Oh, yeah.
is there, and if they don't play each other twice a year, you've lost that rivalry.
It's a good point.
You know,
know-
but when the Bucks left, the Bucks were in the NFC North, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And they played Minnesota and Detroit and
So
all
you
that.
lost
They,
that?
We lost that. We would play the Packers twice a year,
It
and
is
now
true.
we've only played them like once or twice since.
Yeah, and I feel like
Because they're always at the top, we're always at the bottom.
it is a great point, but then I feel like sooner or later, then the Bills would have more of a rivalry with the Giants because they will play them twice a year, and the Dolphins and the Bucks will create an awesome rivalry. The state
It
of
formed-
Florida, Bucks, Jags, Dolphins, and then like the Falcons.
it would form new ones.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying that's why
Yeah,
it hasn't,
yeah.
and that's
No.
why I see it would be a hard thing because that's going to be a major realignment.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it,
It
it
would
really
be.
is. Like seeing you go to baseball and seeing like Milwaukee in the National League, like they were in the American League for so long.
Who
What
do you-
about the Cardinals Redskins? Cardinals lost 6-24 to the Redskins.
Yeah, they looked awful. Like Sam Bradford was really good in the preseason, and he looked really bad. There were a lot of games. The first slew of games, 1-4, were awesome games. Everything was so down to the wire. Really good games, but later in the day, just got crazy. And that Aaron Rodgers comeback was awesome, guys. Come on, that was incredible.
There
That was
is-
gonna be my performance. Was Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
just the sheer coming back. Now obviously he had a lot of other players. Like he had other people. Cobb made that play. It was a short, well, not really short. It was
The
about
throw was
20
perfect.
It was a perfect throw, but he made that into that run. I mean, but him being out there, that performance alone to me was, like I said, my standout performance of talking about player.
And there is something to it that Brady wasn't in that game, like that type of a game, because he's just so consistent. A lot of people counted him out against the Texans. Yeah.
Yeah,
Deshaun
I
Watson,
had Houston. I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
And
Yeah,
he just shows up.
Oh, yeah.
He just does his thing consistently great.
Just being
night
Brady.
in, night out.
just being Brady.
Yeah, and he went under the radar. But he had like 3 touchdowns
Yeah.
at half, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
they just completely
Yeah.
annihilated them.
Hey guys, talking about like next week already, and just 3 games really jumped at me. Just 3 of them, real quick. Chiefs, Steelers, and if the Chiefs continue how great they are, if the Steelers go 0-1-1, that'd be crazy.
Steelers, I think, win that one.
Vikings, Packers, both 1-0.
It's always a good
division-
matchup.
Yeah,
Always.
it's a great matchup, and if A-Rod comes back healthy,
Vikings roster is insane.
and then Patriots, Jaguars, which the AFC Championship
Ooh.
game in Jacksonville, both 1-0. Already great week, and then of course we have this Cowboys Giants game that whoever loses is out of the 2018 NFL season.
All right, well, that's my locked in.
Oh,
So can we go there? Are we
Well,
good?
I wanted to ask.
sure. One more
there's-
question, then let's get locked in.
There's one other thing we didn't really touch on. It didn't really get discussed too much, but what about Andrew Luck? What did you think about Andrew Luck's performance? He's coming back. He missed pretty much almost 2 full seasons.
You know I'm a luck guy.
yeah.
to be out that long and have that performance,
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Even
I
even
was
with
impressed.
the loss, I think
Yeah.
he took too many. I think he's still taking too many hits. He's holding the
Yes.
ball a little too long. He's trying to make that play. He needs to throw it away
He
a
does.
little bit, or he holds on to it way too much. But it's good to see him out there making those throws, being there again.
It's also what he's surrounded with as well.
Oh yeah.
It's like, okay, so you got a guy who has an unbelievable talent. He comes back, and he's still not surrounded with the pieces he probably needs, which is disappointing and sad. But at the same time, like you just said, it's good to see him out there. And the fact that you can have that game in your first game back, being out that long, I was impressed.
Yeah, and the offensive line has a lot to do with it. That's like with Tampa. They've made some improvements on their O line, and
Right.
Fitz had all day to throw.
Most underrated part about football is an O-line. It's
Yeah.
crazy to open up lanes for the running back, to give quarterback time. Here's where you started this show with a basketball football analogy with great players. Let me kind of close them. I'll put a ribbon on it. We're getting pretty good at this thing. This is what we do best, right? Let me put a ribbon with an Andrew Luck analogy to an NBA player. Anthony Davis. 4 years ago, we both thought, or the masses thought, media masses, right, thought that Anthony Davis would be the best basketball player in the world. 3, 4, 5 years later, Andrew Luck, 3, 4, 5 years later, would be the best quarterback in the world. They've both been in the playoffs, and Andrew Luck had that 1 year of playoff success, but both guys have been underachieving, or we know they have raw talent, how great they are. But either guy has taken to the next level. They're both in organizations that are not helping them really good. I just feel like they're both going to be neither guy will get over that hump until a major factor. If Davis goes to the Lakers, if he changes teams, or if Andrew Luck gets a total revamp with players, or shit, there's not a lot of times that happens in the NFL, but if Andrew Luck goes to a different team. Is that a good analogy like that?
I'll accept Anthony Davis to the Lakers, by the way. I thought you were talking about Chris Paul to start off this thing because you talked about not necessarily underachieving, but an extraordinary talent who was always around a chaotic environment in an unstable franchise who was never able to get over that hump because Andrew Luck has been successful, but he's never been able to get to the ultimate goal because of the franchise. Like Anthony Davis hasn't shown that much success in the NBA. On personal statistics levels, he has, but as far as achievements, going to the Western Conference Finals, he hasn't done. Chris Paul has. You know what I mean? Like on that level, like...
Max, once in a while, you shake a man's hand and you give him a hug and say, you're right. That's a great analogy. Your analogy was better than my analogy.
Gracias.
And they're both kind of injury-prone players.
Yep.
And everyone knows they're amazing.
Yep.
Like, everyone knows their talent, but they haven't won the championship. They've been to a conference championship now once. All right, guys. Max Van Auken, follow him on Instagram and Twitter. Good stuff, man.
Appreciate you.
All right, you guys done?
That was gonna be my point with Luck, was just missing so much time.
Yeah.
I mean that's been the worst part of it. If he could have stayed healthy or come back earlier, he's missed a lot of time. I mean, that's almost basically 2 years is what he's missed.
Concur. Okay, you guys ready to get NFL locked in?
So that's what we're calling it.
No, I think we're still putting a pin in it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start off. All right. You said it. The Giants, the Cowboys, whoever loses is out of the playoffs. It's like a 90% chance, right? So extremely unlikely that they go. Of course, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to say it. I think the Giants have a better shot at defeating the Cowboys than the Cowboys do the Giants. So just in layman's terms, not to be confusing, I have the Giants winning. I'm just not impressed with the Cowboys. Kind of like what you were saying, JT. Like, they're just not a great team.
They were lackluster.
Yeah, it's like if Dak isn't in the
Dak
perfect...
did not look good at all.
Yeah, if he's not in the perfect...
Dak is crap.
If he's not in the...
So, it was... And I think Saquon's going to run on him. I think he's going to have a better game than last week. I know we had our fantasy draft a couple weeks ago, and he didn't get taken to like the seventh or eighth player.
Barkley.
Yeah. And our buddy Brad picked him, and he's like, "Oh, my week just looks good." But he's a huge Jag fan. He's like, "Can't I just have Saquon give me a bunch of points and the Jags still win?"
Kind of happened, right?
It did. It did.
We'll see.
But that was my lockdown.
Dallas
Yeah.
with Dallas, you're right. No, but
I agree. I
with
think
Dallas, their failures. You've got to think about. I mean, there's no Dez and there's no Witten. I mean, Witten was. I think
he's
that's
the glue to the team.
Jason Witten, I think, is the missing thing.
Agree.
I mean, they talked about it briefly, but I think that's one of the big keys because he was always that guy in that third quarter.
Yeah.
Or third down.
You needed a third down. You're throwing to Witten. Everybody knew it. The defense knew it.
So you're right.
They would
Giants
still.
win.
Okay, Sean, you got it locked in?
Are we doing week or season? We're just doing this week by week.
Yeah, the NFL locked in. It can be long term or it can be right now.
All right.
I got mine if you don't.
You go.
Okay. This is easy. I think I went on the limb. My Super Bowl prediction was the Chargers versus the Saints. Week 1, they both lost. They both lost to divisional teams. Not a good week. But hey, week 2, it changes. Okay.
Week 2 changes.
I didn't even say
Always
anything.
changes.
Man, he looks really upset.
I'm just sitting here.
Chargers and Saints locked in week 2 victories. They play the Bills, and I think they play the Browns.
Anybody that plays the Bills is a locked-in victory.
JT. Gee whiz.
Hey, my dad was a Dolphins fan growing up, so you know how many AFC championship games I went to versus the Bills?
6.
Yes, and they lost them all.
Did I really lock that in and nail it?
No, I went to 2, but it's fine.
Let it be noted, I didn't say anything to start this.
It's fine.
You looked at me, and you never should look at me.
right, Sean, do you have your locked in?
I have a feeling it's about the Buccaneers.
The whole episode was so good.
My locked in. I'm gonna kind of do it for the first 3 weeks. The without Winston, like you said, you were right. It is gonna be about the Bucs. It's gonna be about
It's
the
all
Bucs.
good, yeah.
I think that we are going to beat the Steelers.
Ooh.
I'll fight you, bro.
We could play well against the Eagles. My heart wants to say 3-0, but I think we're going to start 2-1, which
Well,
I think
they're
is going to be
gonna
a
split.
huge thing. I think we're going to split between the Eagles and the Steelers. I was not impressed with the Steelers playing against the Browns. I think the Eagles, you can't take away the respect from the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl. They have a great team. I think that it could have been a better game. I think that it was low scoring. I think that there was, if the Bucs can bring the intensity they had with Week 1, I think they can give them a run for their money. I want to say 3-0, but I think the Bucs are going to start 2-1.
And just to play devil's advocate, though, the Steelers are coming with that hurt mentality now going into this one. Like, okay, that's a wake-up call.
It's Week 3.
Yeah, nothing's. Oh,
We
Good point,
play
point.
Philly Week 2,
Which is
Steelers
tough.
Week 3.
okay.
So you play Philly this week.
Not to disrespect your Buccaneers,
Yes.
but I do believe you guys will lose both of them. No offense.
No,
But if you guys split, you're
I
locked
started
in.
I started the episode saying we were going to start the season 0-3. So trust me. I just think if we can match the intensity that we had in that Week 1, I think that the play calling that they've done, if they can execute the way they did against the Saints, the defense made some big adjustments in the second half.
Right.
It was a Madden game in the first half. There was, the Bucs. The only drive they did not score was the drive when they got the ball with 30 seconds to go at the end of the half.
Right.
Every time they had the ball in the first half, they scored. Every possession, they scored.
Yeah.
They didn't have a punt till the fourth quarter.
All right.
So I think if they can match it, they can.
You'll be locked in. JT, you got one?
I'm a Steelers fan. I got to go Steelers are going to win. Actually produce something this week because they did not do well this last week.
Well, there you go, you guys. You heard it. We all got locked in. Dave finally got his locked in out of his system. But we appreciate everybody listening, downloading to the podcast. The numbers are showing it. Locked in with 2 N's, all podcast platforms. We're also on social media. Specifically, Facebook seems to be what we've been more involved with the community because if you like the page, you join the community. Like
Keep
always,
up those debate of the days that Max throws out there.
Yeah,
They're
those
great.
are
It's
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you. And like always, guys, stay locked in.
Yeah. You now locked in with the best. We ain't rocking with the rest. And when it's game time, we gon' put you to the test. Come the ball, we hitting it, kicking it, though. We dribbling, passing it, though. We running, no risk the ring that we flip you in. So what's the news? You want the scoop? You gotta keep it locked. To David Max podcast through your speaker box. What's poppin', my friend? You know the drop in. And the only thing left to do is keep it locked in.